Yeah,
brother.
I just wanted to give a word on the Greek word paeo that you mentioned. It's the word that's translated commit in 1 John 3:9. Whoever's born of God does not commit sin. It's the Greek word paeo. It's the same Greek word as translated bring forth in those passages you mentioned in Matthew. A good tree cannot bring forth bad fruit. A bad tree cannot bring forth paeo, good fruit. So commit, bring forth, these are translations of the same Greek word. Now, as you said, some people take this word and they have this argument that, you just have to only a Christian will not practice sin, but they'll still commit sin. So they'll make this distinction as far as how frequently you sin, or they'll say the majority of your life is righteousness, but you're still going to have some sin sprinkled in there, and you're still bringing forth righteousness. You're still committing righteousness. You're not bringing forth sin, they would say, even though you're committing sin a little bit. But a way you can dismantle this is pretty simple. In Romans chapter 2, Paul quoted from the Old Testament the Ten Commandments. He says, "You that say you shall not kill, do you steal? You that say you shall not commit adultery, do you commit adultery?" He's quoting the Ten Commandments there. Now, Romans 13, he does it again in saying the law of love is fulfilled. Do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not kill, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not bear false witness. He's directly quoting from the Old Testament the Ten Commandments. And one of those commandments is, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, it's pretty well agreed upon that Paul quoted from a Greek translation of the Old Testament. The Old Testament was originally written in Hebrew, but around the time of the New Testament, it's pretty much understood that most of the authors were quoting from and reading from a Greek translation of the Old Testament. And Paul, whenever he brings over the Ten Commandments in the New Testament, he directly quotes and uses the Greek word paeo, thou shalt not paeo commit adultery. Now, follow this. God himself in the Old Testament said, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, if that word bring forth or paeo is only referring to a certain frequency or a certain amount of adultery, then I guess God just meant, hey, don't commit adultery too much. But if you commit it one time, you haven't broken my commandment. You see the problem? Like with their own definitions of this word, they make God basically permit adultery.
And expound upon that in regards to what Ray Comfort does, because you've done that before, I believe, Eli, and I think that's a good point to be made here as well.
Yeah, sure. So Ray Comfort, one of his methods of evangelism, his main one, is to quote these Ten Commandments. And he'll say, God said, you shall not commit adultery. And he'll quote Matthew 5, you shall not look at a woman to lust after her. You've committed adultery in your heart. He'll say, you should not steal. He'll list these commandments to people when he's evangelizing. And what he's looking for is for someone to admit that they've done this, not a certain frequency, not a few times a week. He's looking for them to say they've done it one single time. If somebody in the crowd says, yeah, I did that one time, Ray Comfort will immediately, without hesitation, say, then you are an adulterer. You see? And for some reason, Ray Comfort and those who have the same theology, once you become saved by faith alone, you can commit these sins more than once. But somehow God won't qualify you as an adulterer. God won't qualify you as a fornicator or murderer if you do it one time. But before you're saved, just one time's enough for you to be called an adulterer or a murderer. Inconsistent. It's inconsistent.